everyone, welcome back to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 97. I am your host, as always, Nathaniel Robles, joined by...
Eric Moore.
And sorry for not being here last week.
Oh, God.
It's been hellish weather in Wisconsin.
And you mean the opposite of hellish weather? Because it's freaking cold as hell and... Wait, cold.
It's hell to me.
Yeah,
we don't know what... Just because they talk about an eternal fire, it could be eternal cold.
I guess.
Either way sucks.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, lots of snow, lots of really cold weather, so it's been hard to get things done. I had power go out a couple times. Things happen. Yeah. But we're here, and we're back, and I think weather is almost normal. I mean, we did get a ton of snow the other day, but it wasn't super cold.
Yeah.
And my power didn't go out. So, so I think we're okay.
There is that.
We are recording this, as always, on Thursday night.
Yep.
And, well, it's Valentine's Day when we recorded this. So, for those that are going to see this in a few days, happy belated Valentine's Day. I hope you had a very good Valentine's Day, very good weekend. All the couples out there, all the singles out there. I don't know. What's it like, Eric? It's been 9 years for me.
Another day. It's just another freaking day.
It's just another freaking day. Except if you check on Twitter, there's a lot of like celebrities that are dancing for some reason. I don't know why.
Sure, why not?
All the single ladies.
Why not?
I don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
Anyways, this is a really awesome time to come back with the podcast after that week off because we had a Nintendo Direct.
We did.
And it is the first Nintendo Direct, the first like major Nintendo Direct we've had in 5 months. Mm-hmm. It is the longest gap between Nintendo Directs there's ever been. So, that being said, we got a lot of information. And we're not going to cover literally everything because we would be here for days and days and days to have discussions on that. So instead, I'm going to look at Eric. I'm going to say bring up one game. Just one. I'm not putting the pressure on you to remember the whole Direct.
Yeah.
But I know you watched it.
Yeah.
And you retweeted my summary.
I did. I didn't watch your summary.
You didn't watch my summary. What's one game you remember from the Direct that you're actually interested in?
Ooh.
And why?
Ooh. I mean, Yoshi's Crafted World looks pretty cool.
Okay.
I mean, not normally the type of game I play.
Well, it's a Yoshi game.
It looks fun.
Yeah.
So it's
well, and you can download the demo on your Switch and actually try it.
Yeah.
See, I already did that, and it's
fun.
It is good.
Yeah.
Easy, but Yoshi games always are easy. The challenge in Yoshi games have never been beating the game or beating the levels. It's the collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
The collectibles in this one, for the most part, you only get to play the first level in the game. Obviously the collectibles aren't even that hard.
Right.
But they did throw a little challenge at you towards the end of the level to get one of the collectibles. And I'm like, cool. If they're doing that in level 1, it's going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What's also really cool in the demo, and this is obviously what's going to be true throughout the game, you beat the level, you got all the collectibles, you think you're done, and then at the end of the level, you're like, oh, by the way, we're going to flip the level backwards now, change your perspective entirely, and go collect these other things quick. Yeah. And you're like, huh.
All right.
So replay the level again. Okay, cool, but play it backwards this time with a new perspective. All right, it actually feels like a whole new level. Oh, and you get done with that, and you go talk to this robot dude, and he's like, oh, by the way, why don't you go back to that level and hit 5 cows for me? And you're like, sure, let me go back there and spank some cows.
Yeah.
So you do that, and thankfully after you hit your 5th cow, it'll just let you stop, so you don't have to keep playing the whole level. But I'm like, this is kind of cool. It's adding a lot of replay value, but it's doing it in a way where I never felt like it was tedious replaying that level 3 times.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, it gives you 3 different...
Well, the flipped perspective obviously helps. But the third time, there was no flip perspective. Right. But it also wasn't that difficult. Like getting all 5 cows, you can get them pretty early in the level, so it didn't really feel like much of anything. Okay. And the load times were pretty quick. Granted, it's a demo. Who knows what's going to be like in the final game. But, yeah, that was... It's good. It is... See, I enjoyed Kirby Star Allies when we got it last year. I still think Kirby Star Allies is a pretty good game.
Yeah. I would agree on that.
It's just a little short. I don't know. We don't know the length on this game yet. Mm-hmm. But I will say something about this game feels like it has an extra layer of polish. The only thing I can say is playing it in handheld. I'm not 100% for sure. We'll have to wait for Digital Foundry or something to come across. It felt a little blurry in handheld, which tells me that it's sub HD. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's 540, 640. I don't know, no idea what it's running at, but it felt a little blurry, and I kept wondering like why. It's not exactly like the most intensive game, so like why couldn't they hit 720?
Right.
But who knows? Maybe there's a day 1 patch coming out, and this is a demo.
Well, it is a
demo.
So maybe they didn't.
It's not indicative of the final. Yeah. So it's possible it will be a lock 720, but because I'm pretty sure it was running at 1080 the entire time. So I'm like, if it's running at 1080 the entire time, why not 720 in handheld? So
yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Some people I heard complain that, oh, well, like deep in the background, it's blurry, and I don't like that. Why do games do that? It's depth of field.
Yeah,
is what it's called.
Right.
And so I know that some people hate depth of field, and that's why, like on PC, you can turn off depth of field. It's more intensive on your stuff, but if you have the stuff to run it, fine, turn it off. I think the reason that it happens is because it's more realistic.
Well, it also gives the more of a 3D feel.
Well, yeah. The thing is like I kind of use this example because I was responding to someone who made a comment on it on my phone. As I'm looking at my phone, I'm just kind of like generally taking in my peripherals while focusing on what I'm typing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything else is blurry because it's not in focus.
Right.
Granted, our focus can change super quick compared to a normal camera.
For sure.
Like, I can go from this to, what do you mean it's blurry? I just look, it's not blurry. I'm like, you just changed your focus. Of course it's not blurry. But that's what happens is the game, you're focused on where the gameplay is happening, so the rest should be blurry. Now, the thing is, that happens naturally with our own vision, so some people say, well, why do we need the game to do that for us if it's just going to happen naturally? And I think a lot of it is just to make things stand out more.
Right.
Because when you have all these bright colors and all these things going on, if it stays that way going all the way into the background, and it's a background that's, a decent ways back, a half mile back, it feels like it might throw off your depth perception a little bit in the game.
Not even that. It's another thing that grabs your attention.
Yes.
It's there for background. It's not there to... It's there to be decoration, not
or future parts
on.
of the level.
Right. Where you're playing the game and all of a sudden you see something flipping in the background, your focus is instantly going to go to that, and then you might end up missing something that you're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah. It's just as I said, it's not something everyone likes, but there is a gameplay reason that they do it. And unfortunately, this isn't a PC, so you can't just toggle settings on and off. So you just kind of got a deal. And if it bothers you, I don't know, like, why haven't you even complained about this existing in like every game on the planet? It exists in Starlink Battle for Atlas. It exists in that dang Link's Awakening game that was announced. Yeah. So it's like, it just exists in so many games. Like, why are we picking that fight with Yoshi? Of all the games to pick that fight with Yoshi, really?
Probably why, because they think they can.
Well, they want to find. I think it's just
because they think it's not necessarily that they think it's a lesser game per se, but it's not one of those big, massive titles.
I think it's because a lot of people, after playing the demo, actually think the game's really good, and they want to find a way to knock it down a notch.
Right.
Don't be talking about that game being good. That's not Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
It doesn't need to be Breath of the Wild to be good.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not a.
We're going to get into a debate.
It's not a quote unquote major title.
Sure.
So how can it be? We got to find something to knock against it.
Yeah. And it's like there's not really a whole lot to knock. Like I mentioned, the one thing was maybe the resolution in handheld. I mean, it was still perfectly fine and playable. So again, that if that's the only knock I have, I don't know. I'm okay with it, as long as it's like not dipping to 360 or something. Yeah, it just doesn't feel. I mean, this isn't Wolfenstein 2. It doesn't need that kind of dip. But that's a really good game. We know that one's coming out March 29th. So that's pretty exciting. I'm trying to like. I mean, the obvious pick for me is the Link's Awakening game.
Well, right.
I mean, I literally put up my individual reaction to it because I jumped out of my chair, and I never jump out of my chair. I get excited, but I don't like. I got excited about Astral Chain, but I didn't jump out of my chair. Link's Awakening, I almost broke my chair. I was so excited. I knocked down my green screen. I was going nuts. But I want to save that for a later conversation.
Right. No, I figured.
So,
I mean, Daemon Ex Machina looks really good too.
Okay,
just to touch on that.
So Daemon Ex Machina, I was not into this game at all. Okay, it was announced I think last E3.
Right.
And I don't like mech games. I've had no interest in this game the entire time, but they released a demo. This was announced at the Direct, a demo dropping today. Okay, cool. It's a really long demo. You get to play through 4 missions. It takes about. It took me about an hour. Maybe I'm sure you can rush through it and get through it quicker. But as me exploring it and figuring out how to customize things and how to get gear and how even exploring the little maps you're on, and paying attention to some of the story. I don't like mech games, but I really like this, and I already know why. It feels like Starlink Battle for Atlas, but with mechs instead of. Spaceships. Right. And no, it's not. When I say that, I'm not talking about it being Starlink Battle for Atlas. Starlink Battle for Atlas was an open world game for starters, and you can go anywhere, do anything you want. This isn't. You're in confined spaces. Okay, like there's an edge to each mission map. That if you go outside of it, you stay outside of it long enough, you fail the mission. So like, it's got that Star Fox kind of Star Fox 64 kind of limit. Like, okay, here's your limit. Come back in. Don't go outside this limit. Don't stay outside that limit. So it's smaller in that sense, and it's not open world, and it's mission based. But the core gameplay, like the mech, you fly. You have a speed boost while you fly that you can optionally use, and if you run another speed boost, your ship slows way the hell down, or in this case, your mech slows down, and you land. When you're on land, as long as your stamina meter, because your stamina meter is how you use the boost. As long as your stamina meter is full, you are literally gliding across the ground just like when you would in Starlink Battle for Atlas with the ship. You have a gun on your right. You have a gun on your left. You can customize each one of those weapons what you want. You hit the LB to do lock-on target missiles. And, yeah, I haven't seen as much weapon variety yet, but this was just a demo.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that it's not
and it's not a demo where they're selling you toys to life, where you just plop on a new weapon. You're gonna discover these weapons, and you actually, like, the looting systems. Basically, how I've discovered so far is how you get the weapons. You don't buy weapons, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong on that. The only thing I saw the money used for was upgrading your abilities. So I think the weapons are just loot based. You knock down someone else's mech. And then you can go and you can loot that mech, and you can take one item off of that mech. So there might be 3 items or 4 items on that mech, but you can only take 1. Why? I don't know. That's just the mechanic of the game. So you got to choose wisely based on what you think you need for your mech. And it looks like you're going to be able to have multiple mechs at some point because you have 4 slots in your hangar. But that could be for teammates' mechs. I just don't know. It's a demo. So all I came away from the gameplay was, this is like Starlink Battle for Atlas with more variety in landscape, more variety in enemy types, and just more variety in those 4 missions. The first 2 missions are pretty similar. Mission 1 is basically a tutorial, which of course it is. Mission 2 is basically the same thing as the tutorial without it telling you how to do everything. So it's basically, we just taught you it all, now do you remember it? So it's kind of like a tutorial 2.0. Then you get to mission 3, and you're defending a library, and like there's this big controversy around the library. Some of your teammates turn on you because they have a separate mission, and it's just like crazy crap's happening already in the 3rd mission. Then you get to the 4th mission, and you're taking out this giant boss that is straight out of Starlink. That's the thing that reminded me the most. Straight out of Starlink.
Yeah, kind of.
And I'm like, this is so crazy. Everything is so different, and I know it's a little tiny demo, and you could easily take a little slice of Starlink and be like, yeah, that. Look at how awesome that is. And Starlink is awesome. I find myself liking this game.
Yeah.
And I know it's because of the gameplay feeling similar to Starlink, but there's more, there's like a deep ingrained story. How they're telling the story is really weird. Like there's full voice acting, but not really cutscenes.
Interesting.
So it's like Advance Wars. I remember playing Advance Wars where you have like the text box. Well, it does that, but it's all fully voice acted, but there's no cutscene. And I don't. Is there not the budget for cutscenes?
I don't know.
That's the only thing. I'm like, there's no budget for cutscenes, is there?
Yeah,
there's literally no budget for cutscenes because it's not even Fire Emblem style cutscenes where like you can make a decision or you can hit A to continue. No, it's just there's no cutscene. It's just text box. And that is one thing I'm not sure that I like.
Yeah.
It was fine at first, but then you get into the longer, more drawn-out conversations, and you're like, okay. Yeah. Like, if I could see something in a cutscene, I'd be paying attention. Otherwise, right now, I'm kind of zoned out.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I don't understand the story. I'm so confused. But whatever. It's good times. I had a lot of fun playing it. You guys should all try it out there. Eric should definitely try it just to see. It's free, so why not give it a try? I have a full impression video I'm working on for it. It'll be out before this podcast is public, but yeah, I gotta say I am surprised that I'm liking this after all the things I've hated about mech games in the past. So.
This is a different style.
I think this is good. This is gonna be that game. This is gonna be the Wonderful 101 of this generation. That's what it's gonna be.
Wow.
So the Wonderful 101, for those that didn't play it, which is basically every single one of you, it was a Wii U game for starters, and it's a Wii U game that didn't sell. Wonderful 101 is a game by Platinum Games that is utterly fantastic. It is an amazing game, but it was a very hard game to sell. Based on the concept, because you watch videos for it, people don't understand what's going on. There's all these literally 101 characters on screen doing becoming fists or becoming feet or doing bridges, and you're like, what is going on? We don't understand this. Visually, it doesn't look that stunning because it's a bunch of little, it almost looks like sprites, but they're not sprites. And you just don't. It's not an easy game to convey how well it does. Or like its appeal. Like Pikmin is easier to convey than that because you can understand whether you have 2 Pikmin or 100 Pikmin.
Yeah.
This it doesn't really make sense till you get a whole bunch of characters in the Wonderful 101. So it's going to be like that. One, mech games are already a smaller audience, so it already makes it more niche. It's an action game, which is fine, but I have a feeling, and I think the developers know this, that this is a game that everyone that plays it is going to absolutely love it, but hardly anyone's going to play it. And that's sad. This is a game that deserves to cross 1 million in sales, I feel, just based on this demo. And it's not going to. I hope I'm wrong. I literally hope I'm wrong, but it feels like that kind of game where it's this new IP, it's coming from a third-party company, Nintendo's paying for it to be made, it's super, super high quality, but it just doesn't have that appeal that, a lot of you probably say, oh, I'm excited for it, and that's fine. We represent a niche part of the market. Okay, I have 44,000 subs. Our effect on overall sales for Nintendo games is next to nothing. So, we just got... I'm excited for it, but I'm worried. I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. So, it won me over. And I didn't think I could be won over on it. So
that's crazy.
So those are games obviously we knew about before this direct. I think one of the shocking third-party announcements for me, like not exclusive wise, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
And not just that Hellblade's coming to Switch. It's a 2017 indie darling by Ninja Theory, who's now I think owned by Microsoft, I believe. But they were an indie studio at the time who set out with the goal to prove you could make a AAA game on a shoestring budget. Obviously, they were highly experienced devs that worked in the AAA space, so they knew what they were doing. That helps as well. But and Hellblade was a fantastic game, critically acclaimed, darling of 2017. But part of the reason it was a darling was because it's a visual stunner from an indie team. Like, you don't see indie games looking like this.
Yeah.
So the thought of it being on Switch for most people is like, no, they can't run it on Switch. They showed it, and when you watch the footage of it, it's very clearly not the PC version or the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox, because it's definitely downgraded. So this makes you think, okay, this is actually native Switch footage. And if that's the case, it was really damn impressive. Like that game, yeah, obviously, resolution, downgrade, it doesn't matter. The game looks stunning if that was true Switch footage. I think that caught a lot of people off guard. Not just that it's coming, but look how good that looks even on Switch. Like, I think a lot of people underestimate what great optimization can do even on weaker hardware. So
optimization can be everything.
Yeah, so like that game, assuming that it's running, at a decent frame rate. Man, I didn't play Hellblade on PC. I've been meaning to pick it up. Well, it's happened. I'm getting it on Switch. I think it's digital only, unfortunately. I wish it was getting a physical version, but it's okay. It's just nice that we're even getting it, since I do believe Microsoft now owns that studio. We're also getting another game from a studio that Microsoft owns in Grid Autosport. That's a studio that Microsoft now owns, but Microsoft's still like, hey, it's okay, bring it. It's already on everything else. Bring it to Switch.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Microsoft and Nintendo better together. They're obviously, Xbox Live's coming to it. So like, obviously they're getting along just fine.
Right.
Banjo-Kazooie, come on to Smash.
Right.
But yeah. So I don't know. That's obviously a budding relationship there that they're getting along. Well, they're really getting along when something from Nintendo appears on Xbox. You're like, okay.
Yeah, right.
You guys might as well just merge right now. Just get it over with.
Yeah, right.
That being said, I'm just thinking back on some of the new announcements. Obviously, Astral Chain.
Yeah.
That was a shocker.
Looked pretty decent.
Yeah, people were like confused when it was being shown out. They weren't sure what it was. Like everyone's like, okay, this feels familiar, but it's different. And we felt familiar because it's a Platinum game, and some people thought it was maybe a Monolith soft game because it kind of felt a little bit like Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's the thing. It's something that's familiar that's completely new.
Right.
And once you got to the boss fight, like I assume that was a boss fight. Maybe it was a normal enemy. I don't know. You got to that and you're like, okay, no, none of these games are like this. What is going on?
Yeah.
And then you saw that Kamiya was involved, and then. One of the main people from Nier Automata, I don't know, it's not on the Switch. I wish it was, but like that game is massively critically acclaimed over on PlayStation 4. So like there's some big names behind this game. It looked phenomenal. The gameplay looked phenomenal. The cutscenes looked phenomenal. The city that they're traversing in looked excellent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's anime style, but gosh darn is it very good anime style. It is amazing. A lot of people care because one of the big criticisms of this direct is that there's a lot of anime style games. Where's everything else? And it's like, here's the thing. For those that didn't like the direct, by the way, that seems to be the main complaint. Is that a bunch of anime games, a bunch of JRPGs. Where's my stuff? Your stuff is probably what the AAA games from Western studios. Yeah, they're still not on board. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, talk to them.
They gave you Assassin's Creed 3, which looked like crap. It looked bad. I mean, I think everyone knows it. If that was, assuming that was native Switch footage they showed, it was running at like 12 FPS, and it looked worse than the Wii U version. And no one understands how a console that even in handheld mode is more powerful than the Wii U can have a game look worse. It makes no sense. But again, the people are just kind of crossing their fingers and being like, that's why it has a 2-month delay. Yeah. That might be why, because they basically just threw it at the platform and they haven't optimized anything yet. That's kind of the hope that some people have with the delay on it. But yeah, Astral Chain, a new IP. It has since been confirmed that it is exclusive. Nintendo did pay for it.
Wow.
Which isn't a shocker because Platinum Games, they basically don't self-publish. They always reach out or have people reach out to them to make games. So the fact that it was even a Platinum Games thing in the first place and was announced for Switch should have already told you that it was exclusive. But it is exclusive. Yeah. Nintendo paid for it. Brand new IP. So it's just like the Wonderful 101. Nintendo owns rights to it. Bayonetta 2 as well. Bayonetta 3 now coming out too eventually. So
that they're working on.
Actually, that they're still working on. Which, guys, I don't think we're seeing like some people are like, oh, we'll see Bayonetta 3 at E3 now. I'm like, dude, it's not gonna. It's a 2020 game. We'll see it. My bet is the Game Awards end of this year is the earliest. We'll see
probably.
They unveiled it at the Game Awards. It's a 2020 game. Show it off at the end of the year. Get people hyped for 2020. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Man, I mean, they shadow dropped Final Fantasy 9 out of nowhere. I know some people that are really into that think it's the best Final Fantasy, so they really want that. They gave us a release date for Final Fantasy 7, first time ever on a Nintendo platform. The Chocobo Mystery Dungeon game got a date as well. So they kind of ran the gamut with Square Enix there a bit. Unfortunately, no Kingdom Hearts or anything. But
did we have a release date on Crystal Chronicles remake?
No, they didn't talk about that at all. So
I knew they didn't talk about it, but I didn't know if we had one from earlier.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that there's no release date on it yet. But there was a lot shown up. I mean, there's one game we haven't even touched on that's brand new. Super Mario Maker 2.
Oh yeah,
they kicked off the whole direct with what many people consider the best thing in the whole direct.
There is that.
There's a lot of new things to talk about in it. I'm not like an expert on Mario Maker, but I know that like slopes. That didn't exist at all in the first one. I don't think the automatic moving stages existed in the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't think those existed. Maybe they did. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a long time since I played Mario Maker.
Yeah.
What was really cool is, we saw there's a new art style in there. Super Mario 3D World made it in. Granted, you're not making it in, a 3D perspective, but still, that made it in, plus the items from that game. So that's really cool.
Well, with the cat suits?
Yeah, stuff like that. So there's new ways you can bend some of the pipes that looked really cool. Like, everything about it looks cool.
Clear pipes?
What's nice?
Was that a thing in the other one?
I don't remember.
Clear pipes?
No, well, that was in Super Mario 3D World. So.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was part of the original Super Mario Maker. Or
no, because it's from Super Mario 3D World.
So yeah,
it's
cool.
a feature from Super Mario 3D
cool.
World. Yeah, so bottom line is, they didn't port the old game. They gave us a new one.
Yeah.
Granted, it has gonna have a lot of the old stuff in it, of course, 'cause it's Mario Maker. But I think that excited people because they could have just straight up ported, and they're like, no, we're gonna give you something brand new, fresh, made specifically for Switch.
Yeah.
Coming out this summer.
That's crazy.
That's awesome. I think they said coming out June, so it's probably coming out right after E3.
Yeah, that timeline's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not as hyped for it as a lot of people. Because it's not my jam. I don't like builder games. Like Dragon Quest Builders 2, a lot of people thought that looked great.
It does look good.
I just don't like builder games. No, I'm watching, I'm like, okay, cool. For those that like it, cool. It's kind of like when the Mortal Kombat 11 footage was shown again. I'm like, well, for those that like that, cool. I don't really care about fighting games.
Right.
So
no, I'm with them there with you on that one.
If it's not Smash, I'll pass. Smash or pass. That's the way I live my life with fighting games. Although back in the day, I liked Primal Rage a lot for some reason. Yeah. It was just the dinosaurs in the blood. Dinosaurs in the blood.
Obviously.
Velociraptor. Anyways, there's so much.
Another one, obviously, I've loved Undertale. So Deltarune.
Yeah, and we get the first chapter for free.
Right. I love that. That was the greatest thing ever. Download the first chapter for free. There'll be more downloadable content later. Not for free.
Yeah. I mean, and then they show a trailer, and then it's all full of the dogs. Yeah. And then it mentions at the end, it won't have this many dogs.
Not this many dogs.
Not this many dogs.
Yeah. Toby Fox. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. A fun trailer.
So I can't wait anymore. We have to hop in that Link's Awakening thing right now.
I knew it was coming at some point.
Obviously, I'm really excited for Link's Awakening. Someone tried to call me out in the comments, and then they deleted their comment, I think, because I couldn't find it on the back end, so it wasn't like YouTube hit it. They're like, oh, but remember that debate you did with GameStop, and you said you don't like playing classic games. And I said in that debate, if you actually go through it, and I'll say it again now, I don't like replaying games I've already played unless they've been remastered or remade, because then it's a fresh coat of paint. Fresh coat of paints, I am willing to do it. Zelda games are usually an exception anyways, because it's my favorite series of all time. But yeah, I haven't played Link's Awakening in 20 plus years. I haven't had a desire to play Link's Awakening in 20 plus years.
And now you do.
Now I really want to play it. Now I really want to play it. I love that art style. Yeah, oh my gosh, that art style.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Here's the thing. The more I watch it, it's a brand new art style. Very clearly built originally on some of the engine from A Link Between Worlds. The more I watched it, the more I'm like, oh, you see that spinning pillar? If you compare that to A Link Between Worlds, the spinning pillars there is the exact same thing. Like, the exact same looking texture. It's just in HD. So I'm like, I think they took the A Link Between Worlds engine, put it in HD, and said, look, we could just do like A Link to the Past remade in this because we already basically did that with Link Between Worlds. But no. We're going to just say, scrap all that. Let's do something fresh.
We're going to reach way back over here and grab this one.
Grab this one, and we're going to like really screw around with things.
Ain't nobody going to see this one coming for sure.
Such a cute game. I don't think I've ever in my life thought I would look at a Zelda game and call it cute. The initial reaction in my video for it, as soon as they show the gameplay, it's so cute. Yeah. I'm like, did I really just get excited and call Zelda cute? Like, Zelda as a character, sure. Well, the art style, like even the Wind Waker, I didn't call it cute.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's just such a joyous thing. And here's the thing. I know everything that happens in this game. Link's Awakening itself has extremely dark undertones to the actual story. But if you guys remember right with Link's Awakening, it's a contrast. There's these dark undertones that you might not realize because the world itself is so joyous. The Link's Awakening world, like, there's just joy everywhere in this world. And, like, everyone just loves it, and blah, 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 blah. And that's what actually makes the dark undertones, when it finally hits you, like, holy, like, this is some messed up stuff happening right now.
No, I mean...
Or, if you know anything about the game, spoilers, it just didn't happen at all. It was all a dream. But,
well, I mean, honestly.
I mean,
with
it's,
the name like
it's 20 plus years, like 26 years old.
And
Come
also with the name like Awakening.
I'm not spoiler warning the 26-year-old story plot. I'm sorry.
And again, with a name like Awakening, how he wakes us up, that would make sense. Yeah.
Well, you don't even know what I'm referencing yet, so I'm hoping that you pick it up and you get through. It's easier to get through than Breath of the Wild. So
honestly thought it was Wind Waker to begin with, because I don't, just because with the sailing and stuff like that. I can see.
Oh yeah, at the very beginning.
Yeah, right. At the very beginning, I'm like, Wind Waker, because I knew you texted me. Because I hadn't watched the
yeah, I texted you.
You texted me. It's a new Zelda game. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I was excited.
So I was like, okay. So I knew it was coming, and I'm like, where the hell? I'm looking at the time, looking at the like, where the hell's the Zelda game coming? Oh, there it is. Wind Waker? No. Oh no. Okay. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Link's
cool.
Awakening. Right. So yeah, I have in general, I love the art style. I think.
Yeah, I liked it too a lot.
I think one of the big debates happening out there right now that I'm seeing a lot in the comment sections, and I saw this on a live stream I did, is the price. Now, there's no price listed right now. I mean, you can pre-order it, I think, at some places, and I think they're listing it for $60, but Nintendo hasn't announced an actual price. It's just coming sometime this year. It's probably going to be a fall holiday title somewhere in there, kind of a compliment to Pokemon. My thing is, I think they're going to release this game at $59.99. Because it's a completely remade from the ground up game. It's not just like the old game with a new coat of paint. It is completely remade. Very, like, you watch how the character's moving, you watch how the enemies are react. Like, it's completely remade. This is not, this is basically we looked at the old game and started a brand new game over here and just, grabbed the story elements and the enemies and the world from that game.
Right.
So, I think they're going to charge full price for it. This is the same Nintendo that charged you full price for New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
Right.
A launch game from Wii U in 2019. They charged you $60.
Right.
Oh, they included the Luigi U DLC and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. The point is it was content that was already made, that they already made money on, and they sold it to you again for full price. So, obviously, they're going to do that with this game. Some people are upset about that possibility. Two reasons for it. One, it's a top-down Zelda game, so there's this idea that there's no way in heck it can be worth the same sort of value as Breath of the Wild. And then the other thought process is it was originally a handheld game, so it would never released at $60 before. It was always $40. So why should a remade version of a handheld game be more expensive than the original?
Quote unquote, more expensive than the original. Yeah.
And my thought process is pretty simple. On the point that, it shouldn't be worth what Breath of the Wild is worth, I could bite on that. Breath of the Wild to me is a $200 game.
Well,
we spent over $100.
That's probably what we spent.
Like Breath of the Wild to me is not a $60 game.
Right.
Breath of the Wild to me, the value of Breath of the Wild to me, knowing what it is and knowing what the fun I have had with it. If someone had told me this is what this game's going to be for you, but we're gonna have to charge you $200 at launch, I would probably throw a fit. I'd be like, why $200?
Yeah.
I'd still drop it. I still would have dropped it anyway. If they would have told me the only way you can get this game is with the Masters Edition for $150, $200, okay, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm diving in. It's worth it to me. That game, even today, like people say, oh, it should be cheaper today. It is cheaper on Amazon, but like the MSRP should be cheaper. And it's like, why?
Yeah,
the game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're telling me it's worth it's less of a game today than it was 2 years ago just because it's been out for 2 years? Hell no. And my thing is, you can't look at a game like that and then look at a game like, Link's Awakening, and say Link's Awakening is worth less than $60 because this game is $60. That's just not how game development works.
Yeah.
It's just. as an example, Kirby Star Allies was 60. Wait, no, actually, I think that was actually a little bit cheaper. I think it was 50. Let's go with a better example. Let's go with Mario Tennis Aces. That was $60. Okay, clearly less content than Breath of the Wild. Clearly less. I mean, probably less content than Link's Awakening, for crying out loud. But that was $60, and people gladly played $60. And some people love the game. Some people are kind of wishing to have more content. Everyone seems to love the gameplay. You didn't see people arguing that Mario Tennis Aces wasn't worth $60. So why the hell are we having this argument about Link's Awakening when, if you want to draw comparisons, it factually is going to have more content in it than Mario Tennis Aces does. It factually might be able to hold your attention longer than Mario Tennis Aces did. Is it because it's an old game that's been completely remade from the ground up, so that devalues it for some reason? So should Final Fantasy VII Remake, whenever that finally lands, not be a $60 game? If it ever lands?
Right, yeah. I
mean, here's a better example. Resident Evil 2 didn't originally release at $60, but the Resident Evil 2 Remake released at $60.
Right. To me, it depends on what they've done to it. If, in this case, they've basically rebuilt the game.
Yeah.
That's fine. That makes sense to be 60. If they basically just ported it, and it's how old already?
I asked people this.
That I could see where it would be. You can argue this should be less.
Well, I asked people on stream. I said, let's say they took Ocarina of Time. Forget the 3D version, the 3DS version. They rebuilt Ocarina of Time in HD for Switch. Is that worth $60 for you guys? Everyone's like, yeah, it's worth $60. Literally, it was unanimous. People would pay $60 for that. That's why I said, so they just did that to Link's Awakening, so why won't you pay $60 for that? The difference that I think is, and the point I was making is, people devalue that top-down style versus the full 3D.
Also,
which I think is bullshit, by the way.
Part of me is also wondering how, depending on how old your audience is, how many of them actually played the original.
No, there's going to be a lot of people who haven't played Link's Awakening.
So,
they didn't even, when they put the title up, they didn't call it Link's Awakening HD. They didn't call it Link's Awakening Remake or Remastered. Because Nintendo knows this is such an old game. They mentioned, and it's been 26 years.
Right.
Nintendo isn't pretending that this is the new game.
Right.
But they know that it's been so long. They don't need to put extra words in that title because a lot of people have never experienced Link's Awakening.
But and again, maybe it's because it's also, look at the platform it came from too, wasn't it?
Game Boy. Yep, Game Boy and
So,
Game Boy Color.
Again, it's 26 years old. So that's, again, I'm pretty sure that's a lot of reasons why people are going, this shouldn't be 60. But because if they had just basically taken that old Game Boy and threw it on the Switch, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if they had taken Link's Awakening DX, which was in color on the Game Boy Color, just made the colors pop a little more, stretched it out, put it in HD.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that ain't $60.
Right. But when you completely remake the game...
That's just up-resing and recoloring the game. That's not $60.
When you completely remake the game, then I can understand.
Link's Awakening has never looked like this ever.
Right, no, exactly.
Ever. That opening cutscene alone never looked like that on Game Boy. They clearly have put love into. I think that's the big thing. Looking at it, okay, fine. You want to argue it's not worth $60. Okay, so what you're saying then is that Link's Awakening is comparable to other games that aren't worth $60 or don't sell for $60 on Switch. So let's just think about some games that launched on Switch that weren't $60. Some people think it should be $40, right? They think because that's what the Game Boy version costed, so it should be $40. So I look on Switch and I'm looking at games that were around $40, and I'm just like, well, okay, so you had Kirby that was close to 40 but wasn't quite. I think it's going to be a better game. I know it's a better game than that. I already know that based on what we saw and based on what I know of Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
So it's already better than that. So it should already have more value than that game did. But then you might argue that game's overvalued. Okay, so then think back to some other $40 games. I'm like, okay, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Well, it was a Wii U port, but I'm sorry, Link's Awakening is better than Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, so you're saying it should be $40, but it's better than the other games they charge at $40, and it's arguably better than games they charge at $60. So the only reason to devalue it is because it's a game from 26 years ago.
Yep.
It was a handheld game that never released at 60 in the first place. And it's a top-down Zelda game. Let's just be honest. Part of the reason it's a top-down Zelda game. Yeah. People that are growing with the art style say, "Oh, I love it." Actually, the art style is growing on me, but not for 60. Okay, what do you want them to do? Put Link's Awakening in 3D? That would be cool. That would be amazing. But that also wouldn't really be true to the original game. Then you're just Ocarina of Time and Link's Awakening, which at that point, why wouldn't you just make a new game?
So here's another thing I thought of. With that kind of the art style that it has, maybe it makes it kind of feel a little bit more Kirby Yoshi-ish.
I don't think art styles should determine value.
I get that.
I know people
but
do
people do that.
I know. You want to argue that art styles... All right. People, you want to argue that art styles are what would determine the value of something, then why the hell is Super Mario Odyssey $60?
Yeah.
How about Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze? Forget the Switch version. Go back to the Wii U when you might have argued it was worth 60. Is that art style make it not worth 60 because it's a cartoon? Is the Wind Waker back in the day not worth 60 because it's cel shaded? How about Astral Chain? That's a completely cel shaded game.
Yeah.
Is that not worth 60?
Right. No,
what about Dragon Quest 11?
But what I'm saying is it feels more of like it feels more like a Yoshi Kirby quote unquote.
But Yoshi's costed $60.
Quote unquote kids game.
Let me actually make sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I think they're charging 60 for Yoshi.
But you don't. You see what I'm saying though? It kind of feels along the lines of the Kirby Yoshi quote unquote kids game.
Sure.
This doesn't feel like.
Well, since why can't a kids game be worth $60?
Because kids games are quote unquote not as much of a game.
Yoshi's Crafted World's selling for here.
If it's got a price on it.
Yeah, it comes out next month.
Oh, well,
you can pre-order it. Amazon here. Let's see. Yeah, I got my Amazon listing. Yeah, $59.99. So like they're selling that at full price.
Right. But you see where I'm going with this and how people can. That I'm wondering if that's part of their reasoning.
I'm sure. My viewpoint of it is this. Obviously, the value of any game, regardless of what that game is up to the individual. There are people that spent 60 on Breath of the Wild that don't think Breath of the Wild is that great and should be $60. It doesn't have dungeons. It doesn't have anything they like about Zelda. So to them, the game is not worth $60.
Right.
There are people that don't think Odyssey is worth $60. There are people that don't think... But they're usually a small group of people. I wonder... I don't know this. I wonder if some of the arguments for people not wanting this to be 60, outside of obviously everyone wants games to be cheaper, of course, is a little bit of almost a backlash-like reaction that we got this announcement, but not the Metroid Prime Trilogy. This was the big announcement they say for the end. Everyone wanted Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Yeah, it's possible.
So I'm wondering if it's almost getting a pseudo Metroid Prime Federation Forces like reaction where no one's mad because we just got Breath of the Wild and we know there's another Zelda game in development. They've already talked about that. We don't know when it's going to be unveiled, but whatever.
Right.
Probably now that we got this, 2020 is the soonest. It's not going to be unveiled this year.
Right.
But
at least I'd be very shocked if it was.
Yeah, I'd be extremely shocked because it would overshadow this. I don't think they want to overshadow it. But it's like no one's going to be super upset because it's Zelda, but I think there's that. There was that we wanted the big announcement to be something else. We didn't want it to be this.
We already had
wanted
a Zelda
to,
game.
or if we weren't going to announce anything new, then we wanted to see Animal Crossing,
right?
Or something like that, or Pikmin 4 get announced or something like.
I get you.
Like, and instead, we got a remake of an old Zelda game, and it doesn't matter what you say, a remaster or a remake isn't worth what you think it's worth, or blah 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 blah. Bottom line is the value of a game is what people are willing to pay for it.
Right.
That's the way the market works. If Nintendo thought that they needed Yoshi to be $40 for it to sell, they would start it off at $40. But they think it's going to sell at $60, so they're releasing it at $60. Link's Awakening Remastered, you might not be willing to pick it up at $60, but Nintendo might look at it as we're going to sell 2 to 3 million copies of this bad boy at $60 a pop. So why wouldn't we put it at $60? Because it is Zelda, and Zelda's always sell 2 million copies.
And the thing is,
almost always.
And the thing is they can always come back later.
And they have all this momentum from Breath of the Wild where you have some people thirsty for some more Zelda.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And now you have new Zelda fans, and you might be like, hey, let's give you a kick of the old school, and let's see if you want to see these are some of the games that led to that Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Definitely.
Definitely.
You should check this out.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, does this mean they're going to Majora's Mask it next? Oh. Majora's Mask remastered? Come on.
Yeah.
It's freaking Ocarina of Time.
They can always...
If you're grabbing Link's Awakening, which is one of the most unique Zelda games out there, then grab Majora's Mask next.
Yeah, right.
Just skip over. Yeah. No one needs to play that trash game. I'm just kidding. Ocarina of Time's not a trash game, but it's an interesting choice that they went with Link's Awakening, the first ever handheld Zelda game.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have admitted bias, and I know I do. I've said this all along. When I ultimately end up reviewing this game,
your scores are probably going to be...
Yeah, I'm going to admit it. I'm going to admit it right away. I'm going to come out right away and be like, hey, look, I'm biased. Zelda is my jam. I try to state this in all of my reviews, especially if it's of a game that I know I have a bias for, or a franchise I have a bias for. I have a bias for Zelda, so at the beginning of it, it's basically, this is how this review is. I'm a mega Zelda fan. This is a review for the mega Zelda fan. So basically, if you're as big a fan of me and you have the same taste in Zelda games I do, then this is going to be a review that you should pay attention to. If you're someone on the outside looking in, it might not be that helpful for you. Maybe it will be, but it also might overhype you or underhype you or something. So the thing is, I am a firm believer there's no such thing as an unbiased review.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's just important to note when you know you're super biased.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to like Link's Awakening, guys. Link's Awakening is my first ever Zelda game. I punched a kid on a bus and took his Game Boy. He had Link's Awakening in it.
Yeah, you did.
I played that for like a day, and it became instantly. I knew I needed every Zelda game after that.
Yeah.
And I had my own Game Boy. I just saw him playing a cool game.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I just saw this kid playing a cool game that I didn't have,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't let me play it, so I punched him and took his game.
I forgot about that.
I was a little bit of a bully back then.
Yeah, you were.
It was only really for like a year and a half of my life, but then everyone started bullying me. I guess karma.
Well, you are also smaller than a lot of people. So.
Not back then.
No, I know.
I was playing center in basketball in 8th grade, and I just never grew. Yeah. I was 5'5" in 8th grade playing center, never grew.
Yeah.
Everyone just zoom, and I'm just like, hey, I remember when I used to play center? Remember, I was that center that could shoot threes. Now I'm a small point guard that can shoot threes. But yeah, it's man, that's the thing. I think it's important for reviewers just to note the bias. I'm extremely biased. Link's Awakening, my first Zelda game, it made me fall in love with the franchise. It is still to this day in my top 5 Zelda games of all time. I'm biased towards the game. So to me, this game, just for personal reasons alone, is probably worth more than $60 for me.
Right.
But just I can't. It's impossible for me to look at this game objectively when it comes to this conversation.
Right. That's
the hard part for me. And the same thing's true with Breath of the Wild. Same thing's true with any Zelda game. I literally am not objective when it comes to Zelda. I can't think I'm objective when it comes to anything, but Zelda especially, like, I talk about how, unless it's a complete, remake or remaster, I'm not going to get it. Well, then I went and bought Twilight Princess HD and the Wind Waker HD for $60 a pop that were not remasters or remakes. They were just up-reses that I just talked about how I wouldn't buy. But it's Zelda, and I'm biased.
Right. Well,
my morality in not buying games like that go away when it's Zelda.
It didn't also help that, you were running, a Zelda set at the time.
Yeah, but I didn't have to do any walkthrough content because it was the same games.
Right.
It didn't matter that I was running the Zelda site. There was nothing in buying those 2 versions of the game. There's nothing I got out of me owning those games that helped what I did at the website. Literally nothing. I didn't do walkthroughs. I didn't stream them. Yeah. I didn't capture screenshots. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just wanted them.
Yeah.
It was just a want.
Yeah.
It's not like Triforce Heroes or something else that you feel obligated to buy. And I love Triforce Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
That's in my top 10 Zelda games. I bet you guys didn't know that. I love Triforce Heroes. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the joy comes from having the right people working with you. But even single player, I enjoyed it more than some did. But again, biased. I am biased to Zelda games. So it's a hard conversation for me to have because I'm going to always argue that, I'm sorry, this is a completely remade game from the ground up. How is it not worth $60? To me, this game is better than so many other games Nintendo has out for $60. How is this then not worth $60? Because Breath of the Wild exists? Okay, so was Majora's Mask not worth 60 because Ocarina of Time existed that had more content and more dungeons in it? Is the Wind Waker not worth 60 because later we got Twilight Princess that had more dungeons in it for 60? How are you determining, like, the valuations are going to be in your own head. Like, some of you are going to look at it as, this is a top-down style Zelda game. It cannot be worth what a full third-person perspective 3D Zelda game is worth. It can't. It just cannot be worth the same. Yeah. It doesn't take the same amount of manpower. It doesn't take the same amount of this or the same amount of that. And my counter-argument that always is, and it also doesn't take as long to develop. So it's a smaller team making the game quicker. In that short time frame it took to make that game, it could cost the same to make that game in that short time frame as they would spend normally on a big Zelda game in that same time frame. It's just not an extended development period. So, like, it could take 6 years to make Breath of the Wild. Okay, fine, then that's $60. So, because this game only took a year or two, it's not 60. It's like,
and the thing is too is
Call of Duty takes a year. Well, it's not true. It takes 3 years. They have a rotating team every 3 years.
But at the same point in time, just because it took this one a year to make, doesn't mean that they didn't have, like, the best of the best on it, which means that they're paying higher wages. For this.
I know we don't know who developed this, if it was Grezzo. This has the feel of the core Zelda team working on it. Mm-hmm. Not the entire team, of course. They are working on a new Zelda game. But I feel like they took a group. I don't know if it's the younger developers on the team or the veterans. I don't know. It feels like they took a group and said, here, you 25, 30 employees, this is what you're doing this year while the rest of us are working towards that next Zelda game. Mm-hmm. You will rejoin us once this game is done. Blah, blah, blah. Right, yeah. And that's what it has the feel of, but we don't know. We don't know yet. I'm just excited. Like, anytime a Zelda game is announced, like, I even got excited when Triforce Heroes was announced. Like, I love Zelda. Like, there hasn't been anything they've done to Zelda yet that I didn't like. Four Swords Adventures ranks up there for me, too. Heck, Four Swords? No. I'm not going to call it a standalone Zelda game. It was packed in with A Link to the Past. But, A Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, I believe. But as its own little side mini thing, it was really fun. Mm-hmm. The Oracle games, Blast, the Minish Cap. Like, I had just as much fun with a lot of these top-down Zelda games, more so in many cases, than the 3D ones. So, like, values in the eye of the beholder. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you like the art styles in the eye of the beholder, what you consider. Like, I've seen... this one might get you.
Oh boy.
M the Moon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He put a comment because we got to see Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 again and when that's coming out.
Yeah.
He said this game is not worth $60 because it looks like a trash mobile game.
Sure.
One of his arguments was that I'm not saying the whole series does, just this particular one. When you go back and look at Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, the gameplay is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So the difference is the art style. Mm-hmm. The art style for those two were more realistic. They weren't super realistic, but they were closer to, I guess, what you would expect out of like a movie. Yeah. And this one looks like the comic books.
Right. This I did notice it kind of had a little bit more of a cartoon.
Yeah, if you actually look at, like, I watched closer. Oh, this is Hulk. Let me go look at some recent Hulk comp.
Right.
It's based off the comics.
Right.
My thing is, how could you get mad about an art style and a medium that's based on where this medium comes from? These characters come from these comic books. How could you get mad that it looks like the comic books? Because you want it to look like the new Avengers or something? Like, and especially on Switch where it probably makes more sense to do this anyway. Like, looks like a trash mobile game. Well, guess what? Every game you're playing M the Moon is on a tablet. So
technically it is a...
So every single game you're playing is a trash mobile game.
Technically.
So every single game you're playing... Like, and here's the thing. I hate calling him out. Like, love you, man. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
I hate the perspective that something looking like a mobile game, if this even does, it doesn't to me, but if it does... means it's automatically bad. Trash. Like, there are some gorgeous looking... There are mobile games right now that look just as good as some AAA games. On like mobile's come so far. Like, calling this, like, Samsung Galaxy Note 9, like, oh my gosh, because it's on here, it's got to be garbage. Like, yeah, maybe the controls aren't that great, but the actual gameplay might be awesome. The actual, like, visuals could be stunning. Like, this phone's almost as powerful as the damn Switch. Like...
It's that.
It's just frustrating to me to see games get dismissed because someone's comparing them to a game that maybe isn't that same genre on a phone, and it's like, or I've seen a Marvel game on a phone and it has got like a similar art style. Okay, what does art style have to do with anything?
Yeah, again,
there's realistic art styles on the phone too. Is Call of Duty trash because there's a game on here? I think it's called Modern War or something like that looks like a Call of Duty game. Does that make Call of Duty games all trash? No, some of you would probably say Call of Duty games are trash anyways. But
yeah.
Like, okay, is Fortnite completely horrible because it's on phones?
Right.
Oh no, it didn't start on phones, so it's not a true mobile game. The point is that a game like Fortnite can be on a phone. That's the entire point.
But
Like, being on a phone doesn't make the games bad.
Yeah.
I understand the reason they hate mobile games is because of the way they monetize. That I understand.
Yes.
I understand absolutely detesting the monetization methods. But beyond that, like visually and gameplay wise, comparing something to a mobile game doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
But obviously, individual opinions.
Right.
Like, if you're not excited for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, it's fine. I've never played a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. This will be my first one.
Oh.
And I've heard a lot of great things about the other two. So, like, if this one even holds a candle to those, I'm in for a treat.
First one's definitely better than the second one, but
hopefully the third's better than both.
Right.
And personally, I like that it's kind of like the comic books because I feel like I'm getting enough with Avengers and all the other realistic stuff going on there that I'm kind of ready to kick it back to the comics. Let's go.
Yeah. Speaking of like comics and stuff like that, have you seen Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, recommend it definitely.
I heard
freaking good.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It is
like, some
really
people
good.
went in not expecting it just to be kind of okay, and then it's like, no, it
When
might be the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been out.
When I saw the commercials for it and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, okay, it looks. The art style is interesting.
The art style's interesting. It's got a couple funny quotes.
Right. But it is really good.
Yeah, that is one that I'll probably see once it comes out. Maybe on Netflix. I don't know. Like, when is this Marvel or when is like the Disney Netflix thing ending?
I don't know
Because it was.
Disney's
I thought it was
having
supposed.
its own
I know they're gonna have their own thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, but I thought the contracts ended in 2019, and yet we're still getting new Disney movies on Netflix this year. So,
well, maybe to the end of the year. I don't know.
I know it's completely unrelated, but I'm just like,
yeah, for sure. Well, it tangentially.
I mean, we just got they just
right.
put the Han Solo movie on there, and I'm just like, which is good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm actually shocked that this is the first Star Wars movie I did not actually go to the theaters. I've seen every other one I went. Rogue One, like all of them I went, but no, for some reason I don't know why. I think there was a part of me that says no one's Han Solo, but
yeah.
But it's a younger. Obviously, he can't do that anymore.
Right.
So it's like I get it. But then I heard that it's also one of the best ones they've made since. So it's like I've heard all these good things. Obviously, Chewie's Chewie.
Right.
It's like okay. Everyone is saying that this might be the best one made under Disney, and I'm just like, but it's hard for me to do anyone but Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Even though I admit the actor they got, you can kind of see how. Look wise, they did a good job trying to get someone that you could imagine transitioning into what Harrison Ford looks like.
Right.
But it's not the same. So but you know what? I'll eventually I'm gonna buckle down one night and just turn it on and watch it because I love Star Wars. It doesn't like if you came to my house, you would have no idea that I like Star Wars.
Yeah,
there's no Star Wars things anywhere in my house. I have a single shirt that's a Star Wars shirt. And I got it for Christmas this year. I didn't even ask for it.
Nice.
I never like when I was a kid. I had Star Wars Legos and everything. I don't have anything Star Wars. Like my gaming collection. You'll notice Ninja Turtles. I don't watch Ninja Turtles anymore. But old school Ninja Turtles, I'm all up on that. I'm trying to get my kids into the old school movies right now.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't have a lot of collectibles for that stuff around my house, but I am probably as big a nerd for Star Wars as I am Zelda.
Yeah.
Like bar none.
Yeah.
I used to read a lot of the books. The only reason I fell out of some of it is just because it consumed me. Consumes everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this direct.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry for that.
What's your general? Because you said something earlier today when you first came over about the direct that I disagreed with, but I didn't want to say anything else.
Right.
What are your general thoughts on this direct overall?
When I first got here, I had said something about somewhere along the lines of, oh God, what the hell was it? it showed a lot without showing a lot.
Yes. Basically your exact words.
Yeah. So there was quite a few announcements, but not necessarily a whole lot of girth to it.
Okay, what kind of girth are we talking about?
Gameplay, everything, like stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, they did show trailers for...
Well, here's my thing. Did you... Because you're not someone that pays close attention to everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
Did you expect this to be kind of like an E3?
Probably. Yeah, I know.
Because E3 is really the last time we had like a major something.
Right.
You know, you think 5 months ago for the last major direct back in September, but like, okay, you know, we briefly talked about that because it was mostly a recap of stuff we already knew, whereas this one had some new announcements. That one was kind of like a holiday push one, and then E3 is the one we had. I think this is a problem with directs in general. Is Nintendo, like, I think this was a really good direct. I think this is one of the better directs Nintendo's ever done. Now, if you're not interested in these games, obviously you're going to think it's a horrible direct. But there's always that caveat that I think people expect too much from directs. They're not E3. Now, some people think directs are better than E3, and that's fine, because directs like this generally have more new game announcements than at E3. But E3 does a deep dive. The games they talk about, they really talk about. So they give you that 30-minute like little, you know, here's this game, here's that game, here's a sizzle reel, here's 25 minutes of Smash.
Right.
But like it's 25 minutes of Smash,
right.
and then over the next 3 days you get another like 6 hours of Smash, and like you get, you know, another 6 hours of Pokemon. Like they deep dive. The games they do show, they go in depth on over 3 days. Whereas in a direct, it's a tease here, tease there, trailer. Sometimes not even gameplay. Like Rune Factory 5, they announced that Rune Factory 5 is in development, no gameplay. Like,
and
talked about Bayonetta 3, but they didn't show it.
Right, and maybe that is the reason why, because it has been so long since a direct that I kind of forgot the kind of layout and how directs actually.
Well, like there's people that like were disappointed Pokemon wasn't here. By the way, Pokemon's never been unveiled in a direct ever. Like people say, oh, it gets unveiled in a Pokemon direct. No. Okay, a Pokemon reveal event is not a Pokemon direct. Did they call it a Pokemon direct? No, then it's not a Pokemon direct. Nintendo very clearly labels their directs, okay? There are Pokemon directs, but they're not to unveil new Pokemon games. They're for games that are already unveiled. Anyways, that's just a pet peeve of mine, why people keep expecting to see. Like, we know it's coming this year, guys. Relax. They're going to unveil it when they're ready to unveil it. And it's going to be a huge it's going to be a huge focus at E3. But, you know, they might unveil the week before E3 like they did with Let's Go. I mean, you know, you just don't know. But I think people put expectations on these directs that I just don't think are fair. Nintendo basically has, at this point, it seems like they have 2 major directs a year plus E3. And then they have a bunch of smaller individual game directs. Like they have the Smash Direct and stuff. Or like a Nintendo Direct Mini, which they haven't. They did a really nice Nintendo Direct Mini last year around this time. But so they have the 2 major directs, and then it's basically they have their beginning of year direct, they have their E3, and then they have like their fall direct. And that seems to be the pattern for now. It used to be more than that, but for now. And I think because there's so few of them, people expect more. And I'm just like, Nintendo's not going to blow their wad all at once. Like, everyone wants each one of these directs to just have Nintendo jizz over everyone. Give everyone everything they want. Pikmin 3 port, announce Pikmin 4. Or you know, that it's coming to Switch anyways. You know, oh, you showed off Astral, let's see Bayonetta 3. Oh, you know, you talked about Rune Factory 4. Hey, show us what's going on with Rune Factory 5. Don't just say it's in development. Oh, we want to see a new Harvest Moon. We want to see, you know, you mentioned Animal Crossing last year. You announced it. Why the hell can we just see it right now? Let's see more of Luigi Mansion. Like, let's just see everything right now. So Nintendo's left with nothing to show us new from games we already know about later. And I don't, like, obviously there's new things they can show, but do you want information? Like, let's say Animal Crossing isn't coming out till September, October, okay? Let's just say that that's the case. If they show it off now, how much do you want to know about the game before it comes out?
Right. Because we
know it's coming.
What game
we don't need 9 months
to
figure out if we want to buy that game.
That they Was it Odyssey that they basically? It felt like they basically gave away the whole game.
Breath of the Wild was like that. Granted, Breath of the Wild ended up being so big,
right?
That it was almost impossible.
I remember there was one of the games that they hadn't that we both were like, are they just going to give away this whole game without actually before playing it?
Because Odyssey was initially teased when Switch was unveiled,
right?
But then we didn't really hear about it again for a little bit until they did it at the reveal event, at the full Switch reveal event. They talked a little bit about it again. Then obviously at E3, that was all about Odyssey. So I think it was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Mario. It was a game where we were watching a direct or watching an E3. No, we were watching a direct because we were here.
Yeah.
And we mentioned, man, they're talking a lot about this, and they don't need to do this. This is kind of turning us off. But what game was that?
I don't remember. But
it's a game that's already out.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that.
I was worried they were going to do it with Fire Emblem, and I was surprised.
And
they gave us a decent chunk of Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it didn't feel overbearing. There was a lot in it, but it was explaining the premise of the game, right? And that was it. And they left it at that.
And that's exactly
premise,
what I like.
Snippet of gameplay, done.
That's exactly what I like.
But that wasn't what this game. They went way overboard with.
I can't remember what it was though.
Oh,
that's going to drive
Switch
me nuts.
exclusive.
Yep, it's going to drive me nuts.
Switch exclusive. Was it Mario? It wasn't Mario plus Rabbids. No, because it was a Nintendo game. Xenoblade Chronicles. That's what it was. It was Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yes, it was.
They told us a crap load about that game. Granted, it worked because it ended up being the best-selling Xenoblade Chronicles ever. So what do we know?
Right.
For the people that really like that stuff, I guess. But I remember that one direct.
Yes.
It's like they wouldn't shut up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I love Xenoblade Chronicles too, but.
Yeah, right.
You didn't need to talk literally everything. I knew everything about that game before it came out.
There's a fine line between...
Besides the ending.
There's a fine line between not showing enough and showing way too much. Yeah. And that one went well past.
I kept thinking, I'm like, it's a really deep game.
Yes.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yes, it was. You're right.
Man.
Yeah, no, Fire Emblem. I'm not much of a Fire Emblem player. Yeah. But that did look... The premise of it...
I always felt like...
Cool.
Have you tried a Fire Emblem game before?
No.
I always felt like it was a series that if you just tried it, you'd like it. Because the reason that I like it, if you think back to back when we used to play a lot of PC games, like we played a lot of strategy games.
Yeah.
Real-time strategy games. And that's basically what this is a real-time strategy game. It's not real-time, I guess. It's turn-based strategy. But I think it's one of those things that as soon as you played it, you would be hooked.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like you for a while because I had touched Fire Emblem games before, like back on GameCube, but I never really got in depth. Then Fire Emblem Awakening came out, and then there was that thing that came out about it that, hey, look, if this game doesn't do very well, this might be it. And I'm like, well, I guess now's the time to dive into the Fire Emblem if that ever was.
Yeah.
Bought it. I'm hooked. Yeah. I knew I was going to be hooked because I love strategy games. But it's I love strategy games, but I kind of like the Age of Empires. Or the kind of like I'm kind of into a different type of strategy game.
One's definitely RTS.
But then I do like turn-based games too. Like Braveheart, we used to do turn-based stuff with Total War. So I know I like turn-based, but I'm like I don't know.
I love XCOM, so
XCOM, and it's very XCOM-like in some ways. And I'm just like, well, I gotta give it a try. And I'm like, okay. I get it.
Yeah, no,
it's anime. It's waifus. It
looked
amazing.
good. I liked what they did with that. That's kind of what I wish they would do with a lot of their games. Kind of how they did it with that one. They get the premise out there, and you're good.
Yeah, and again, they talked a lot. There was a lot of information condensed into like a 5 or 7 minute thing, but it was trying to explain what is different about this Fire Emblem this time around. And that, I think, was okay. Going into the 3 houses, explaining the church in the middle, that the 3 different paths you can take with the different characters, and aligning yourself with them. And I'm like, this, it makes sense. And then it was kind of like, it got to that point where like, oh, how much more are they going to talk? Because and now I'm getting to that point where I'm not sure how much more I want to know. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, like, here's some cool cutscene, and then here's some combat, and you're just like,
okay.
Yes!
Okay.
That's all I need.
Then
done. Yep. And I was worried the rest of the direct was going to be all of a sudden done, and I'm like, there's still 10 minutes left.
Yeah, right? Wait, what?
I fully expected this to carry us until the end, and then one more thing. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, wait.
It's like maybe they learned.
Yeah.
Maybe they learned. Fire Emblem
Give
3.
You one big thing in the beginning, one decent sized thing in the middle and then a big thing at the end. There you go.
Here's a better question for you, Eric, to kind of round out this whole talk, because
Yeah.
you're not like me. Okay, I buy almost all the big games that come out.
Yes.
Is there a game from this direct you're going to buy that you know deep down you're actually going to pick it up? Because you don't pick up very many games. It takes a lot.
Right.
It takes a game truly standing out for you to be like, I'm buying. Like Mario plus Rabbids, instantly. Like, as soon as you saw that, you knew that was day one.
I mean, yeah.
Odyssey, you knew it was obviously day one.
Yeah.
You knew that with Mario.
Right.
You
Breath of the Wild
still haven't picked up Smash. You've talked about it, but
I know.
It's still, there's not that desire in you to be like, I need to go to GameStop tomorrow and grab that.
Right.
You know? So.
Yeah. I don't know. Link's Awakening, I think. I mean, I've gotten hooked on the Zelda.
Yes, that's the thing. You're sucked in.
No.
Breath of the Wild sucked you in, and you want more.
The thing is I've never not been a fan of Zelda just because of with you.
Well, me, yeah, I've been into it forever.
And Chris
yeah,
too.
But you've been surrounded with Zelda.
Right. So I've always liked Zelda, but I've never been one to actually. I always watched you guys play it. Never actually played it
to explain to some people, like, growing up for us was as much about watching others play as it was playing ourselves.
Yeah.
Example, I've never beaten Banjo-Kazooie myself, but I've watched you do it, and I loved it. Like, that's why people say, I don't get why people like watching Twitch. I'm like, why? I did it when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, I watch my friends beat games all the time. Like, I felt like I was experiencing it with them.
Right.
And that's same here. Like, you know, if I popped in Red Dead 2 right now, like, you would sit down for the next 2 hours and just watch me play because what the hell is going on? It's actually almost more fun to experience those single-player games in that way.
Yeah, sometimes.
Because you have someone that you can like react like, holy shit, do you see what's going on?
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
Sometimes I need that second set of eyes.
Yeah,
like, where the hell is those bullets coming from?
Right.
So I think... Man, yeah, the Link's Awakening one I thought might be a get for you because, one, the other Zelda game I know you play was Triforce Heroes because I had a free copy and you were helping me out at the site.
Yeah.
And we had some good fun with that. You know, the annoying part was that we had to take the screenshots that way.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about that with Switch. I can capture everything. But I thought that might be a get for you because you still like Breath of the Wild. You still play it to this day. And... it's one of those things that, like, once you finally dive in, and I think that's the way it is with Fire Emblem with me.
Right.
Like, as soon as you dive in, it's like, okay, when the next thing comes, even if it's different, I'm curious enough because I enjoyed this one experience so much that, like, and there's also like this is where this experience you're playing, this is part of where that came from.
Yeah. No, for
so
sure.
Like kind of going back to the and you've played some top down before, so I know it's fun.
I've dabbled in probably almost all of the games.
Yeah, like I know you played a little bit of the Wind Waker.
Yeah.
You played especially when I needed to go to the bathroom and you just sail for me.
Yeah.
You've dabbled, but like this is where I'm like, you know what? Not only did I think you were going to pick up this game, I thought it actually you might beat it before Breath of the Wild because it's easier to beat.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean, it's not like I can't go quote unquote beat Breath of the Wild.
Well, no, you can. That's like Breath of the Wild. You can go beat anytime you want.
Right.
I'm
already at.
You're already massively overpowered.
I'm just side questing.
Yeah, he's massively overpowered. He can walk in and spank Ganon anytime he wants.
Yeah.
But especially that final phase. Well, wait till you experience that for the first time.
Yeah. I might go do that
just to get it over with.
Yeah.
I mean, you can keep playing after you're done.
Oh,
it's not
yeah,
like
for sure.
You're done. And plus, now you get to see how close you are to 100% after you're done.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get a percent meter on the map.
Yes.
So, anyways, I actually would like to see you beat it. I haven't actually had a one-on-one conversation with someone who's also beat that final boss. Because I've talked about my experience with it, but, like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you feel how I feel about it? Or, or this is different? That might be cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, I've been debating on an episode of Zelda Inquiries, and as soon as you actually beat that, we'll have that topic. We have Link's Awakening out the butt. I can come up with a zillion topics for that.
Yeah.
Like I could literally, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
I got. You got one of us has a Game Boy somewhere. I'll get you Link's Awakening, and you can play that.
Or if not,
you
we'll
Eric plays.
Yeah.
Here's the Link's Awakening. Now you're gonna play the Remastered. You tell me which one you like better.
Yeah.
Of course, people are going to say you should play Link's Awakening DX, not because it's in color, but also because it has an extra dungeon, the Color Dungeon. I know, what an original name.
Yeah, right.
It's in color, the Color Dungeon.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Okay, sure. Cool. Well, obviously, Link's Awakening, I'm picking up like a lot of these games. I'm probably going to end up getting at least a dozen of them.
Right. Yoshi looks fun. I don't know if I'll necessarily get it. But
yeah, I'm planning to review Yoshi, so I'll probably end up getting that one. That'll be my review for April, since it comes out at the end of March. I'm probably going to pick up Daemon Ex Machina now. I don't know if I'll review it. We'll see. I'm not sure. But I like it enough that I really want to support the fact this game exists.
Yeah.
Link's Awakening for sure. Let me see here. Astral Chain's a maybe. Looks really interesting. I'm kind of ready for an action game like that in my life, but we'll see. I need to see some more. I don't know what I need to see.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what else I need to see because I know it's going to be a good game, but I just need to see more of something. Maybe something outside of combat. I don't know.
Right.
And let's see.
Hellblade,
probably gonna end up picking that up on Switch. I've been planning to pick it up anyway, so I know it'll be more expensive on Switch, I'm sure, because it's a new release on there. But I'll probably pick that up. I'm not sure. Fire Emblem Three Houses for sure.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed.
Depending on if they make any improvements to it.
I really like Assassin's Creed. Now, Assassin's Creed 3 might be my least. That one and Unity are kind of like my least favorite Assassin's Creed games, but I think the part of me that wants to buy it is the part of me that hopes that more sales of that brings more Assassin's Creed.
Right, exactly.
And if this one doesn't sell, they just won't bring anything. Like, I personally think if they would have decided to remaster Black Flag, it would do a lot better because Black Flag's a legitimately awesome game. Yeah. It was even really good on Wii U. So, again, if it runs like this one runs, maybe it's a good thing that they don't bastardize it. I don't know.
Right, but that's saying, again, that's not that footage was Switch footage and not optimized or something.
I'll probably end up with Super Mario Maker 2, but I can tell you guys right now it'll probably be my least played of all these games.
Yeah.
I'm just not into builder games, but I owned Mario Maker, and it is kind of cool, like making levels. And I'll probably do a stream. You know, like if they have like the 100 star challenge, 100 level challenge, I'll probably do that on stream sometime. I'm like not really that great at platforming in general. I enjoy it, but like some of the crazy platforming you see in some of those top rated Mario Maker levels, I'm like, I get that beating that is an accomplishment, but every time I see someone beat one of those levels, it's usually after they've died 18,000 times.
Oh god, and they're frustrated as all hell.
And they get done with it, and they're like, "Thank God, I'm never touching that again." And it's like, that tells me you did not enjoy a vast majority of the time you played that level. Right. You might argue the feeling of accomplishment might be worth it, but is it really when the first thing out of your mouth is, "Thank God, I never need to play that again"? It's like, why would I torture myself over something I'm just not enjoying just to say I accomplished it? It's like beating. It's like, okay, sure, go ahead and beat me with a cactus a whole bunch of times until it cracks open and I get that sweet cactus juice. And it was worth it. It was worth it to get needled all those times just for that juice.
Sweet cactus juice.
Like there's an easier way to do it. You know?
No, definitely.
Like no, there's not.
I'm gonna bash myself over the head with a coconut until
it opens up. Yeah. Like. Worth it? No,
thank
not
God
really.
I never have to do that again. I never had to do that in the first place, but okay.
Yeah, I never had to play the Mario level in the first place. Goodbye.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it was cool. Like I made I did a contest, I remember, on Zelda Informer one time. Like people making Zelda themed levels. Like that was cool. And
sure.
In the spirit of Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Actually, it should be more so in the spirit of Zelda 2, since that side scrolling.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out our audio version of this podcast first on patreon.com/NintendoPrime. $5 a month. You get exclusive access 1 day early. You could also do $10 a month and get to actually watch us as we record this. $20 a month, you get to be on an episode of the podcast should you choose. I think the $20 tier is all full. However, sometime in this next week, I'm reworking the tiers a bit. So there's going to be more slots for the podcast, and there's going to be a separate $20 tier for those that are $20 backers that are just doing it to back us and aren't really interested in the podcast. Because we don't, obviously you guys know we don't have guests on every week, which tells you that we have 10 full slots. 10 people aren't trying to get on. So need to open that up a bit more, and that's fine. And we'll have some new tiers and stuff. We'll talk about that some other time. There's going to be a tier specifically to play games with me, guaranteed, once a week or once a month or something. I can't remember what I was going to do for that. I have to go back through my notes. I have a whole giant list of notes on my computer. You can also catch the podcast on Podbean, on Mondays, as well as iTunes and Google Play through the Google Podcast app. You can catch it right here on YouTube, obviously. NintendoPrime.net.
There you go.
Can't forget that.
Yeah.
We also put up the feed to it on our Facebook page. We don't talk about that very often because it's just reposting links. But
yeah.
I think that's all the places you can.
I know.
Get
I tweeted out, but that
Eric
brings
tweets
it
out
back
at emo
at
emo 8790.
That brings it back to NintendoPrime.net, but still.
And you can follow me on Twitter at NintyPrime, or at Nate Jantz. I don't really use the Nate Jantz count too much. Sometimes I get on it when I want to kind of escape from, like, especially if people are being mean to me that day. There are some jerks on the internet. All right, it's funny. Like, what's funny is like if someone insults my family, they'll do it to the Nintendo Prime account, but not my actual account.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not gonna come at me there. You're just gonna come at me as a public persona. It's cool.
Obviously.
Cool. Thanks for that.
Well, because no.
Like, as an example, okay. This is the part of the internet I don't like, and the part of my job I don't like. So I streamed the Nintendo Direct, did live reactions, and I did like about a half-hour pre-show. Like 10 minutes into that, my daughter walked in and wanted to play on Aiden's tablet. Aiden wouldn't let her play, and I'm just like, I never said you could play on Aiden's tablet. Like, just let him be. Yeah. Find something else to do. Your other dad's gonna be here, in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And whatever. And she popped on stream for a moment, and no one said anything in the chat about it, but I was messaged privately about how crappy of a father I am. So sure. It's I can't believe that you let your daughter come on, and like she walked on. This is you work from home. Like, it's
a live stream.
Things
you can't control.
People just they like to find anything they can that they disagree with to tear you down. Here's my advice to anyone out there that tries to tell other people how to parent. Don't. Just don't. Unless the person specifically asks for advice, don't give it. Because you guys don't know the situation here. I don't know your situation there. I can have like a general parenting advice, like, hey, if you're thinking about being a parent, but like I'm not gonna like reach across the screen and be like, oh, you do that to your kid, you're a bad, like, I don't know the situation. So yeah, my daughter came in whiny and tired, and she woke up at 4 a.m. and what are you gonna do? Kids are kids. Yeah. Like, we were kids once too.
Yeah.
I kind of sort of vaguely remember what it was like.
Yeah.
Feels like it was like in another lifetime ago, but I don't know. People just like to come at me, and I let it bother me more than I should. But it's tough for me. People can come at me over my gaming opinions. Also, like, as soon as I turn off the camera and walk away from my computer, it's done. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not texting Eric. Oh my god, I'm so pissed that this person disagreed with me. I'm like, no. Once I'm away from it, like, it's done. It doesn't impact other parts of my life. But like, people insulting my family, even though I shouldn't care because it's like strangers, it's still like it's hard to let that go. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to let go of someone who comes at me or my family like that. So it's something I'm going to be dealing with the entire time that I'm here because I work from home. Yeah. Maybe eventually once I work in a studio, it'll be different, like in one out of the house. Maybe that'll never happen. I don't know. Maybe I'll always work from home. I like working from home, by the way. So like, it's really super convenient, and I'm always here for my kids if they need me. That's the joy of working from home. It's also a burden from working from home when they walk in during a live stream when they're not supposed to be. But
even then, it was a 2-second interruption.
Well, see, here's the thing. The only thing I ever worry about on the live stream is if one of them walks in naked.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Came close one time.
Yes.
But I popped out of that chair faster than I think I've ever moved in my entire life.
Yeah.
Because that happens and my channel's gone.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't want my child exposed. So like,
right.
You know, it's a situation where you guys just, most of you are wonderful, by the way, and completely understanding. I'm a father of 3. I live at home. I'm the stay-at-home dad. Plus, I work from home. But some people, man.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, you think you can do it better, go have 3 children of your own and figure it out. Or maybe you do it better. I have no idea. I'm a flawed person.
If you do.
I'm a flawed person. We all have our flaws. Heck, hello. I'm a fat bastard. Get in my belly. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And this was episode 97.
Right?
We're almost at 100.
Almost at the hundo. Right? The sweet taste of hundo.
Can't wait for that.
All
We'll
right.
do something special for that one.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Catch
Peace
you
out,
guys
everybody.
later.